Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The sun hung low in the apricot sky, casting shimmering gold across the restless waves that kissed the weathered shore of Seabreeze Cove. The salty breeze carried with it memories as ancient as the ocean itself. For Eleanor Hayes, this beach was more than a stretch of sand and sea. It was the place where her heart was born and broken, the town where her first love had slipped through her fingers like water. 20 years had passed since Eleanor last set foot in this small coastal town. Back then, at 19, her life was a woven tapestry of youthful dreams and the reckless certainty of love with Daniel, the boy who had taken her hand beneath the tide-pink sunset and promised forever. But life had other designs, pulling them apart as quietly and surely as the tides. A letter left unopened, a whispered goodbye at the train station, and one day she found herself on a plane headed away from the shore, away from Daniel, and away from the innocence they shared. Now at 39, Eleanor was a woman carved by time and trials, her once wild beach curls tamed into elegant waves, her eyes weathered but still shimmering with the light of hopes that refused to die. The breaking point had come with a decision she never thought she'd make, to return to Seabreeze Cove. She needed closure or perhaps a new beginning. Either way, the pull was irresistible. Her car hugged the twisting roads that climbed gently down to the coastal town, pine trees framing her path. The salty air greeted her as if it remembered her, wrapping around her like a familiar embrace. Shops nestled along Main Street with their pastel facades and quaint signs, the scent of fresh seafood and brewed coffee mingling, creating a homecoming she hadn't realized she craved until now. Eleanor's steps echoed softly on the familiar boardwalk, worn wood warm beneath the soles of her sandals. Where once laughter had spilled over summer nights spent beneath starlit skies, now the quiet hum of the off-season wrapped the town. Inside her chest, a flutter of nervous energy mixed with apprehension. She wanted to see Daniel, to look into his eyes one last time, to understand why the years had fallen silent between them. She found a cafe overlooking the beach and slipped inside, the bell above the door announcing her arrival to the warm-eyed waitress bustling behind the counter. The cafe had changed little, save for the addition of a faded, framed photograph of young couples along the walls. Eleanor chose a seat by the window, the ocean's lullaby a backdrop to her thoughts. As she sipped the dark roast, a voice shattered the quiet, a smooth, gentle baritone that made her heart skip. "Eleanor Hayes?" She turned sharply, eyes wide. Standing before her was a man she did not recognize, yet his smile bore an intimate familiarity. He was tall with sun-kissed hair that curled slightly, and eyes the color of the sea and storm. "I'm sorry if I startled you," he said, stepping closer. "My name is Gabriel. I work at the marina, and I've been waiting to meet you." "How do you know me?" Eleanor asked cautiously, her pulse quickening with unease and intrigue. Gabriel's gaze held a shadow of something secretive. "There's something you need to know about your past. Something connected to this town, and to me." Her breath caught. She had come for Daniel, for answers about the love she lost. For secrets tied to her past? This was unexpected, to say the least. Gabriel reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an old, worn photograph. It showed a young woman in a sun hat, sitting with a boy by a boat. The boy had the same ocean eyes she saw in Gabriel's face. "That's your mother," Gabriel explained softly. "And that boy, he's my father. I think you and we have more in common than you realize." The weight of his words settled heavily like driftwood on her heart. For years, Eleanor had believed she was an only child, her mother's past a closed book. What secret could this stranger hold? And why had he been waiting for her all this time? Curiosity overwhelmed caution. She nodded, searching his expression for truth. "We've been connected through your mother's story, a story tangled in love, loss, and promises buried beneath the waves," Gabriel said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "There's something you deserve to know before you seek your own answers about Daniel." The next hours vanished as Gabriel unraveled a tale of a forbidden romance between their parents, a love thwarted by the very tides of the cove and the disapproval of families caught in their own battles. Dean and Eleanor's mother had left town after a devastating betrayal that sealed a secret that neither she nor Eleanor had a clue about. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long purple shadows on the sand, Eleanor realized this was more than a visit to a beach town. This was a rediscovery of herself, a chance to piece together the mosaic of her past. Days unfolded much like the gentle ebb of the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes tumultuous, filled with meetings, memories, and revelations. Gabriel became her unexpected guide through Seabreeze, showing her tucked-away places her mother had whispered about, the old boathouse where laughter still hung in the air, and the lighthouse that had stood as a sentinel over their secrets. Despite the turmoil stirred by the newfound kinship, Eleanor felt a lightness she hadn't known in years, perhaps a mix of belonging and the thrill of unveiling truths long buried. But the question of Daniel loomed always in the back of her mind, like the distant roar of waves yearning to return to shore. One evening, beneath a sky blanketed with stars, she walked the beach alone, her toes sinking into the cool, wet sand, and found herself whispering his name into the wind that answered with a gentle sigh. The morning brought with it a letter slipped beneath the door of the quaint inn where she stayed. The handwriting was unmistakable, Daniel's. Her heart thudded wildly as she unfolded the fragile paper, hands trembling. "Eleanor, if you've received this, it means you have returned. After all these years, I hoped fate would bring you back. There are truths I failed to tell, about me, about us. I never stopped loving you. Meet me at the pier at sunset." The world shifted beneath her feet. The answers she sought were within reach. Yet, after the revelations with Gabriel, her heart was a complicated sea, and she was unsure if it was safe to surrender it all again. As the sun arced toward the horizon that evening, Eleanor made her way to the pier, where Daniel awaited her, eyes full of longing and apology. The salt air carried the scent of nostalgia as they embraced, the moment charged with all the unspoken words of 2 decades. Daniel confessed the reasons for his silence, family obligations that had trapped him, a love he never abandoned but chose to sacrifice. Eleanor, too, shared her journey, the secrets unearthed, the newfound family tied to her past through Gabriel. Together, they faced the intertwined histories that had shaped their lives. In the quiet unfolding of that golden hour, beneath the vast infinite sky, they found not just forgiveness, but a new kind of hope, a recognition that love, like the ocean, could be turbulent but eternal. The beach of their youth, and the town of whispered secrets, had become a place where 2 souls could once again dream. Gabriel's presence lingered, a reminder that the past often holds the key to the future. Eleanor understood at last that the heart was not a road with a single destination, but a vast shore where many tides meet. And in Seabreeze Cove, where the waves carried stories of love lost and found, she was ready to write her own. For more stories, like and subscribe.